I made a video called What Blizzard Does Not Understand About Genji, and in that I talked about the fact that a member of the Overwatch League had spoken out and said that Genji needs a dash reset removal so that he no longer, when he gets a kill, gets his dash off cooldown. And why I think that is completely, absolutely wrong, and that's what we will discuss in today's video. Hello my beautiful and lovely gamers, my name as always is Jonal, and of course before the video starts, a like on the video helps against YouTube algorithm. The same goes for a comment, where I would like to see, because there was a lot of people actually in favor on this on Twitter that agreed with the tweet and saying yes, he does need to get removed or get nerfed so that he no longer gets his dash reset off kills. So I would like to in the comment section, do you agree, do you not agree, why not? I think it's still nice, even though I strongly disagree, to have this discussion. And again, please don't attack anybody that speaks against your opinions. It's nice that you have opinions, that we can talk about this, but we don't need to be nasty about it. Let's have a discussion about a game that we all like and that we all love. Now, the tweet came from Hexagrams, and he said that Genji will never be balanced until they touch dash reset. That has been the issue since day one. Y'all like Snowball Mechanics? I personally do not. Now again, I think that the easiest way to talk about this is to essentially break it down step by step why this is wrong, in my opinion. And again, I would like to hear your opinion if you agree with me. And then in the end, I think we will take a look at this tweet as well. So stay to the end of the video, because I will talk about this tweet that was in the comments saying that dash reset is the problem. It's the fact that other abilities doesn't get reset on elims too. Ryan Charge, Doomfist Punch, Monkey Punch, etc. Which is just... whew, that's a comment. So we'll get to that in the end of the video. Stick around, all that stuff. And of course, if you like this type of content, click the subscribe button, turn on bell notification as always. If you want to rank up, improve, and get better at the game, you can hire me as a private coach. 50 years for a 2-hour session. It also helps support the channel. Hit me up on the Discord server, link down in the description. Now, let's address this tweet. The first thing is that this again seems to be the fact that what Hex calls the snowball mechanic. And dash is not a snowball mechanic, and that's very important to understand if you're going to talk about game balance. A snowball mechanic. If you've seen those old cartoons where they take like a snowball at the top of a hill and then they roll it down and then it grows larger and larger and larger. That is why it's called the snowball mechanic. A snowball mechanic is really easily represented in, for example, if every time Genji gets a kill, he gets 50 more damage to his dash. So it starts on 50. If he gets one kill, it increases to 100. So next dash deal 100 damage. If he gets another kill, it goes up to 150. This is a snowball mechanic. The more kills I get, the stronger I become, the more hard I get to get shut down. Or if, for example, if you were Widow and you were facing a Hanzo, and every time you got a kill as Widow, your health increased and your damage increased, or your scope, like the time you need to charge a shot, increased. This will do it so that every time you beat the Hanzo in a 1v1, you become stronger, and it becomes harder and harder for him to kill you. First, he can't one-shot you, and then you also start quicker and quicker being able to get off shots, mirroring or exceeding his fire speed, which again just makes you harder and harder to kill. That is the snowball mechanic. Genji, when he gets a kill, gets a dash reset. He doesn't increase his stance, it doesn't change anything. Therefore, it's not a snowball mechanic, because he actually doesn't snowball. The only time you could even bring up the argument of a snowball mechanic in Overwatch is something like Doomfist, where Doomfist passive allows him that he gets a shield, in very, very simple terms, equivalent or out of whatever damage output he gives. So if he deals a lot of damage, for example with his ultimate, he gets a shield up to a certain cap and whatnot. That is the only close thing to a snowball mechanic that you can say, because again, the more kills or the more damage he's dealing, the harder he becomes killing, because he's gaining more and more shield all the time. That is the only kind of like example of a proper snowball mechanics in Overwatch outside of ultimates, which we won't go into in this video. Now, what does he mean by snowball mechanics? Because again, even though it's wrong terminology in my opinion, it is, the argument is still there. So his argument is essentially the fact that he can move through people and those will deal damage. Meaning, let's say I was facing an Ana and a McCree, and if they're standing close enough to each other, or I get a line on them, for example, if they're lining up, I can dash, I can hit both of them, both will take 50 damage, but if I then kill the Ana, and I dash the Kree again because I got a reset, he has now taken 100 damage from my dash. And that is what he, or at least what I'm assuming Hex means by Snowball Mechanic, and when I was reading the comments on Twitter, and this has also been written about a couple times on the Battle.net forum, you know, the place where there's no stupid discussion sometimes. This is a very common kind of argument. The fact that he can like dash through people and that will deal damage, and then he can kind of chain that on to more dashes, right? Equivalent of the argument that if 6 enemies are lined up, he dashes through all of them, and then he gets a reset, and then he dashes through them again, and then he gets a reset and dashes through them again, and then he gets a reset and dashes through them again, and then he's dealing, you know, 50, then it goes up to 100, and then it gets up to 250, right? And that's split out on the entire enemy team. So, you know, every time he does the dash, you know, he's dealing 300 damage, and 250 damage, and 200 damage, and 150 damage, right, until the entire enemy team is dead, because it's split on all these players, and that's what they call Snowball Mechanics. The fact that when he dashes, he can dash through multiple people, and he gets resets if any of them dies. Now, why doesn't this make any sense? Because if you played Genji at any high elos, and I'm not talking, again, low elo gameplay and low elo games, and again, I coach people in bronze and gold and platinum and so on, right? And also work with contenders teams, right? So I have somewhat of an understanding of how everything from a bronze game to a professional high tier game looks like. If you look at bronze, for example, the awareness and the mechanics of the players are factors that you can set in. I had a Genji player last week, or I think it was this week, that jumped up, stood behind the Moira and the McCree, pulled his Dragon Blade, and stood still as he cut once, and it never turned, and cut twice, and killed both of them. He just stood still and cut them. They were also standing still. They never turned around. They never tried to stun him. They never did anything to him. So if you look at through those eyes, yes, this is a broken mechanic, right? You can dash one of them, and you can dash through the entire enemy team, 1v1 somebody in the backline, then dash through them again, 1v1 somebody, you know, in the middle of the enemy team, then dash through them again, and that's busted. But if you look upon it from a higher tier level, where you can't rely on the fact that the enemy doesn't look at you, or they don't pay attention to you, then this doesn't work. Because how Genji is mainly played is that you are playing 15 meters within range of as many enemies as possible, you're trying to off angle from your own team, and you're following normally your team's damage. Normally you don't go for 1v1 unless an enemy is out of position, or is taking the duel against you, which normally means that they are again out of position or pushing you, so they're kind of split away from their supports and their DPSs, and you can kind of fight them one-on-one. Because normally just dashing into the enemy backline results in, let's say you're going for an Ana, a support player, okay? Now if you go for an Ana, one, you will do your entire combo, which yes, if you combo full with Genji and you hit one shuriken to the body, dash in a melee, it deals about 108 damage. That's a lot of damage, that's half the health. Ana nades the ground, you are now antied, you took damage, she's back to her normal health. And she has a heal bonus. If there's any support, anything from a Lucio to a Brig to a Mercy, anything in this game, they will normally go and heal. And the Ana will a lot of time get health from that. Or a DPS will come along and start shooting at the Genji. And this is if the Genji can even engage with full health onto the back line. And again, this is again without the fact that the Ana has a fair chance, because Genji is already low, he's antied, the Genji will not get healed from his team, he will not get follow-up in this case. So you're in the back line, enemies can in theory turn around against you and attack you. There are examples where this won't happen if you time your engages correctly, so that the enemy team is very busy and there's a lot of pressure from your team, then this can be nullified. But even then, the Ana can easily rotate to her team and get help by decent players. Even for a split second, a good Lucio player can push the Genji away, drop a couple of bursts, and heal the Ana and keep her sustained within his healing field. Making it that you are trying to fight an Ana where you are already low, there you have taken damage, and the Ana is getting healed on top of all of this. It is incredibly difficult at that point to get that kill. And if you get that kill, you're not chaining this onto more people. You're normally dashing the fuck out. You're trying to escape. If you even get the kill, or when you get the kill, you normally get out. You a lot of time don't chase it. If you chase, it's normally because your team is pushing the advantage. And there are examples where you are gonna dash change, where you're gonna, go from one kill to another, to another, to another. A lot of time, if your team is on the offensive and winning on damage, this is where Genji comes into play. But you can say that about most players, right? That's the same as saying, the Kree shot. First the Kree shoots the Rhine and helps his tank kill the Rhine. Now there's no shield. When you see your team pushing in on the Zarya, you help shoot the Zarya. You kill off the Zarya because you land 140 damage headshots. And then you chain it onto that. Right? It's the same as saying that a Hanzo has a snowball mechanic that we need to nerf, because a Hanzo, in theory, if he sits on a high ground, like Hollywood first one high ground, he headshots the Ana, he headshots the Kree, he headshots the Lucio. That's 3 kills. And it's now he just gets 3 picks like that, without much they can do about it, except they can sleep him or try to, shoot him or zone him out of the high ground. If he hits the shots, he hits the shots, and there's no risk involved in this. The Genji actually needs to go in there, commit to this, follow damage, and taking 1v1s in backlines are normally not a 1v1. It's multiple enemies stacking up, and if you don't get out, you normally die. There's a bunch of stuns and CC and healing on those backlines that normally will stop you from just going for stuff. A lot of time, as I said, when you're playing in high elo games, you look for where your team is pressuring and dealing damage, and then you try to follow that damage, because we want easier kills. We don't want to 1v1 the Soldier 76, or because normally he will get help and so on. We normally try to follow team damage. So a lot of time, actually, you see Genji just go for tanks in a lot of instances if you're not playing dive, just because the tank, a lot of time, the one guy that's a lot of time are isolated, especially like if you watch like Diamond and Master Genji players, or Diamond players especially that want to get up to Masters, a lot of time just focusing down tanks are really, really easy, because you start getting into that elo in high Diamond where McCree players start watching out of the backline, and the same does other support players like hyper aggressive Lucio mains that watch Red Shell or something like that, right? That protects their backline. So it's difficult to take those fights. So a lot of time you focus on tanks, or you build up Blade and then you just Blade and you win off that, which is one of Genji's main appeals. Which again, we can talk about Dragon Blade all we want, and I can list all the counters to Dragon Blade. Nano Blade is really difficult to shut down, but it's also too ultimate committed and so on. My point is that calling this a snowball mechanic, in my opinion, is very wrong, because you normally don't get that. You dash through everybody type of thing. You normally go for one target, you burst that, and then you normally get the fuck out again, because you're normally really low and you need to get out to get healed, and then you can rather chain it onto another guy, or the few times that we actually do chain it is normally when our team is pressing the advantage and winning, or hitting shatters and gravitons, and then it's not really about the Genji dash reset as much as your team winning the team fight. You are of course gonna get a lot of resets, right? Again, it's the same as seeing a McCree follow up with a lot of shots, or seeing your Tracer dash into the backline and help like assassinate like 3-4 targets, right? Doesn't mean that the Tracer is OP or busted. It just means that your team is winning the team fight. Of course, you're gonna help clean up kills as much as possible, and that's the point of a Genji. He can do that. He can help clean up as much as possible, and that's the really cool thing with him. Now, what would happen if you remove this dash reset from a Genji? And in my opinion, you would put him down to very low pick rate, especially in the higher lows. Because at that point, Genji would be completely fucking useless. Without his dash reset, you can't get into the backline. Well, you can get into the backline. It's just that when you're in there, you're stuck. And you can't get out. So even if I can find a Leopold, even if I can keep, poke and build up Blade and keep pressure on main group so we're not losing the main group fight, because we have a Genji, so we have lower damage output. If you're playing Hanzo, Kree or something like that, we will have lower damage output than you normally. So if we are helping here, we are keeping pressure and so on. I see the Ana waste nade and I see the Ana out of position. And I go for her, I land some shots and I go in and I kill her. And I normally get my dash reset. It's normally because then I can get the fuck out again, back to my team, and stay safe, and we can then capitalize on that one pick. If I don't get that reset, I'm stuck in their backline. And Genji is not good at stacking on backlines. He's not a flanker. He's good at off-angling, and that's really it. You stay in that backline, you get poke low. Again, you're normally already low from that 1v1, unless the Ana is shit, or you are absolutely god. Like, you're fucking Necros or Shatter or some bullshit like that, and you're like one tapper with a combo, right? Which is inconsistent and real difficult to do. You don't get your reset, you're stuck there, and you will normally die. It doesn't make any sense to remove it. Because why would you then not play Hanzo or Doomfist or Tracer or Kree or Sombra? All Tracer and Sombra can move around in the backline, far more survivable, has higher damage output, and can do, at that point, everything. Because again, once the Genji bursts one target and does the one thing that he's good at, which is kill securing, following team damage and kill securing something from his team. Once he does that, he's used it the next 8 seconds and normally will die to a stun or something similar. And that's the point. And yes, Genji can be very, very frustrating to play against if you're facing a good Genji that's just better than you and your team. It can be frustrating because he gets in, he gets kills, and he gets out again. And that can be very frustrating. But the same thing goes if you're playing against a good Doomfist. The only difference is that Doomfist has more health, more one-shot abilities, and he will continuously build up a shield and just get out again. The same with a Tracer, who can just recall, click a button, doesn't even need to look where she wants to go, just a click a button, reset it, got a health back, and everything with a fastable ultimate. Or Sombra, who can just translocate and stealth into a backline, doesn't need to care about engages. You can poke her down like you can do a Genji. Can just go in there, deal some damage, hack a target, follow some damage, get herself back out again, and continue that snowball. Or a mechanic that can just snipe you half across the map, right? At that point, like, why don't you then play anything else? The only thing Genji is good at is following that damage, getting those resets so he can get out again, sometimes change it onto more kills, or build Dragon Blade. And that's it. And Dragon Blade would be completely useless if there was no dash resets, because when you pull the blade, they would just spread, and you get one kill, and then what? You got one kill, you committed whatever ultimate you did, and you got one kill, and there's 99% of the time, unless you combo it in a graviton, there's no fucking way you're getting more than one kill, because it will just spread. And this is without the fact that you'll be standing still, and you can get flashed and stunned and pushed, and if you get pushed, then there's no way of recovering from that. They can fade and ray foam and ice cube. They can bubble them. They can nade them. You can do so much. They can speed boost them backwards. They can do so much shit. There's so many heroes in Overwatch that just hard to counter this blade by just normal abilities without counting stuff like what a lot of people do now, which is either Flux, Shatter, or grab the guy. And then they just like commit an ultimate and just shut you down. Or visor you. You nano blade, they nano visor and keep the soldier at distance if you didn't target him first. All of these kind of counters are also in place. So if you didn't get a reset, then you go for somebody. The Mercy either glides away, the Moira fades away, they lose your wall rights away, right? They push you back so you can't kill Diana, right? And at that point, it's like, okay, they have a Sen, and let's hope the Sen doesn't have trance, or we can't kill anybody. And for most of the DPSs, okay, cool, we can get the Kree. But the Kree is normally in the position that he didn't stack. So we kill the Kree, and they trap us. They just rock the McCree area. It's super easy to hit him because the Genji is not movable. So he can't move away anymore. So as soon as he goes for the Kree, we know where he is, we can just kill him immediately. And every time he dives into the backline to kill somebody, he immediately dies. Because they just know, he dashed, he has no movement. Just kill him. It's like equivalent of saying, it's equivalent of just saying, let's just take our Reaper and just ray foam into the enemy backline. But we reduce his damage on the shotgun, so he's a longer TTK. And even with the current Reaper TTK, the Reaper would just be deleted immediately if the team was half decent and had, the resources to pay attention to it. Now, in the end of the video, I promise we were talking about this tweet. Dash reset isn't a problem. The fact that other abilities doesn't get a reset on the limbs too, like Ryan Charles, Doomfist Punch, and Monkey Jump, that is clearly the issue. So, even though the video is long, let's just quickly dive into that. First of all, Monkey Jump is not an essential ability. Genji gets his reset because Genji's dash is legitimately the bread and butter of him. It is his engage, it is his movement, it is his disengage tool, it is his bread and butter because his primary fire is pretty shitty. Monkey's jump is just a way for Monkey to move into areas so he can use his Testa cannon. And he has far more sustain. His main thing is that he can get to an area, lock it down, AoE chain lightning, that he can just keep on people, drop a bubble to sustain himself and have armor and higher health amounts. That's the whole point of him. So saying that he should get a leap jump from everything when he's not really focused running, he's just like chain lightning everybody. Jump is not a part of his like damage reset stuff, so I don't even think that argument makes any sense. But let's take a look at Ryan Charge and Doomfist Punch. You have two abilities which can one-shot somebody. Again, Genji's dash does 50 damage. That's it. I say 108 because that's you right click or left click, you hit one shuriken while you dash, you hit that, and then you drop a melee which slows down your damage output for consistency. That is what the Genji does. Ryan charges you, he pins you, and he deals like 300 damage. And the same goes for a Doomfist. If the Doomfist hits you with his rocket punch, he deals 250 damage immediately. And he has more abilities coming on top of that. So that is why Doomfist and Ryan shouldn't get dash resets or ability resets on their abilities, because you're trying to compare a 50 damage ability. And I know people say, oh, but it goes through people. It doesn't. We rarely do that. You don't stand behind your Ryan shield and dash through 6 players. You get stunned, you take a lot of damage, you die immediately. It works in silver because it's silver. It doesn't work in high elos. If you do it in high elos, you get deleted. You normally focus one target. You can dash reset in a graviton, but that's a graviton. I can press Q as Hanzo and wipe them more safely than doing that. Right? The argument for Genji's resets, for not Genji having a dash reset, is essentially removing such an important part, because comparatively to everybody else, and I mean legitimately every other hero in the game, if you compare Genji to every other hero in the game, Genji is really fucking weak. He deals 28 damage per shuriken, that has a longer drop, that has a longer travel time, very slow projectiles, comparative to a lot of other heroes, when you could rather pick Hanzo and poke at a distance. And if you want something close range, you could rather pick Reaper. He can get high ground, he has better shotguns, pick him instead. The only thing that is good with Genji is that he can follow damage like nobody else. Nobody can just get past a shield like that, 50 to 80 damage, consistently 80 if you drop melees, right? A little bit higher if you get the kill, and then he can get out. And the point is, you can do that with a Tracer as well. You can blink in and then recall back out, but that's far more resource intensive comparatively to the Genji. And also there's some different positioning stuff that we are not going to cover now. But you can do very similar stuff with a Tracer, yes. But also Tracer has an escape and has far more mobility. You remove Genji's dash reset, he goes in, he gets the kill, and then he's stuck, and then he dies. And there's not much counterplay to it. The Genji can't do much. And at that point, you pick somebody else. You pick Doomfist, because he can escape, he can go in. That's exactly what a Doomfist does. Even with more health and higher damage output, Doomfist, they go in, they slam it, they uppercut it, and they rocket punch back out again. Because then they escape. Sombras go in, they hack shit, they deal damage, blah blah blah. They get focused, they translocate out. Tracers will recall back out again. Right? A Reaper can push past certain shields and reform back to his team. That's one of the safe things with a Reaper. And Mei can jump into the enemy team from a high ground and Blizzard and pop Ice Cube so that her team can push up. But if her team doesn't push up, then the Mei dies immediately. Unless the enemy team fucks up and she drops like the most amazing wall in the game. Right? Without an escape tool, this doesn't work. And it is not an ability that you can use by just dashing through enemies. Because if you do that, you should die. And if you don't die, then the enemy team is absolutely, really fucking bad. And it is an argument where I can say that anything is busted if I put if I just take bad enough players in front of me, then everything in this game is busted. Then Ryan pins are consistent because the enemy is standing still, and I can pin the Lucio across the map because he doesn't wall ride, right? So Ryan should not have a pin because it's overpowered, right? That is the whole video. It is 24 minutes long. Sorry for the rant. I think stuff like this, again, please don't send any hate, please don't be mean about this, let's try to have a civil discussion. I'm very passionate about this game, and that's why I get passionate about these type of videos, because in my opinion, it is weird for me to see somebody as educated as Hex is come up with such an opinion, and it's weird to see the Overwatch community, which I greatly respect. I private coach hundreds of people, and I met some incredible people in bronze even that has really good, in my opinion, pretty good understanding of the game. And it's frustrating to see people to agree with something like this, that oh, he needs that dash is a snowball mechanic when that's not the definition of a snowball mechanic, and then it's overpowered because you can just dash through 6 players, right? Snipers are overpowered because you can just headshot 6 players, right? It's like the old that when Mercy got nerfed, there was this video which has been removed a long time ago. I think XQC reacted to it, so you might be able to find it if you find like XQC reacting to it, where they say that, oh, Mercy instant res wasn't broken because if you were a professional player, you could just pick Widow and just headshot her. Just click heads forehead. And that is like the argument that I sometimes hear, where it's like, okay, Widow's passive, just land 6 headshots and it's easy, right? Just 4 headshots, just one shot the entire backline. It's not that hard, guys. Same with Hanzo, just headshot 6 players, right? Just headshot the 4 DPS and then headshot the tanks and then, you know, pop a storm arrow and to finish them off. It's not that difficult, right? Everything is busted if you put bad enough players in it. But when you start taking into account that you're facing really good players that will zone you and they won't stack and they will pay attention to you when you solo dive the rack line, this becomes an issue. And I see this, yeah. I'll cut rambling because I can continue to just repeat this argument over and over again. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, which I don't think anybody did because it's 26 minutes long, drop fish in the comment section and I will heart your comment when I see it. Please again, like, comment, and subscribe if you like the type of content. Keep it civil in the comment section. Please don't seek out anybody on Twitter. And as always, guys, please do take care of yourself. I love you guys very, very much. Stay safe. Wash your hands. As always, my name is Jonal, and you guys keep the enemy in your crosshair.